I was having issues with the live. Okay, cool. So we're good over here on YouTube. We're good on Facebook. Hey, I was having issues with the live. It wasn't coming up, but I think we're good now. Let me get Instagram and TikTok set up. Oh, what is my life, Lord? Yeah, I like that one. Actually, I like that one. Sorry for the silence. I am just getting everything set up because I was having some issues a moment ago. But I'm good here. And now I just need to go on TikTok and set that up. Let's see. What is the name of the app? TikTok. I'm sure it's gonna be something real loud. It won't be a fit. Something loud. I don't know what the way they have me looking on here, bruh. Is it because of this? Is it because of this? Is this why I look crazy on here? Oh, imagine that. Taking off this thingy right here. Got my video much clearer on TikTok. All right, I am live everywhere. Let me throw a comment up there. Somebody is banging their music. Anyway, I am live everywhere. Hello, y'all. Hey, y'all. Sorry for the delay. We are back at it again. We got another episode. Here we are. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. Ciao. I don't know what God's plan is for my life. I mean, I know it's this, but like I don't know what else is in the cards for me. But I know it has something to do with running my mouth because I got put in a position today where I had to call the police again. Had to call the police again. Like, I don't understand why I keep being put in a position where the police have to be in my life. I really would prefer if it wasn't like that. But my God, in May, I had somebody try to break in my house. In July, I had somebody forcibly enter my house. And today I saw the manager from the leasing office and the leasing agent walking up to my building with a gun and a fucking bag. Excuse my language, but nah, like a bat and a gun, a rifle. Rifle. They walked up to my house with a rifle. Not my house, but they walked into my building. Like, bro, I'm tired. I am tired. I am tired of being put in a position where it's just like, all right, do you want to, after everything that happened last year, like, bro, I don't want to talk to the police. I would prefer to not do that. But here I am in a position where I have to talk to the police. Why, Lord? Gosh, let me share this video on Twitter, girl. Ciao. Lord, I am tired, Jesus. Huge Elmer Fudd looking rifle. You're right. There is a whole lot of violence where I live at. It don't make no damn sense. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. God. I'm genuinely tired and I'm moving like as soon as I can. Like for real, y'all, it is imperative that my GoFundMe gets filled up because like I don't have a regular source of income right now. And I honestly, with the fact that I'm going to be moving, like I need to move like in the next couple months, like it doesn't make sense for me to it don't make sense for me to get a new job and I don't know where I'm going. Like I don't know where I'm going to end up. Like I very well could end up like in a different state. And I need something different else. Welcome in, welcome in. I am sharing this on Facebook. I am just like, today has been a lot. Like the fact that I had to call the police today, the fact that the police were here last week, and like I don't be doing nothing but sitting in my house, bro. I really don't. Now, do I be looking out that window? Like, honestly, had I not been home, looking out that window, and what if the person like that whose house they were approaching, like was home and I wasn't home to see them walking in to the building and I wasn't home to see them walking into the building? Like, what would have happened? Would they have like, if the people they were looking for was home, dang, I got a deodorant stain on my shirt. If the people they were looking for were home, and I wasn't here to see them, would they have beat them up and shot them? What kind of leasing managers do I have that they pulling up at houses? Dang, I got deodorant on my damn shirt. What kind of leasing managers do I have that they pulling up at houses? I don't understand. I don't get it. It's hey y'all, welcome in. Oh, okay. Welcome in. All right. Welcome to we're here. I'm going to take a sip of water before we start. I'm a little stressed out, y'all. I ain't gonna hold you. Anytime I have to deal with the police, it just throws my anxiety through the roof. So I'm here. We're here. It's nothing gonna stop this show today. Welcome to Reading with Miss Taylor Said. My name is Taylor. I'm also known as Miss Taylor Said, and I started this show on November 30th of 2020 in an effort to complete some goals that I have. The first goal being that I would like to actually finish the books that I own. I own a good amount of books, and I have not read most of them. So I would like to finish them, and this show gives me an opportunity to do that. Thank you, friend. This show gives me an opportunity to do that. The second reason that I started the show is that I want to get more comfortable with engaging with an audience I want to get more comfortable with public speaking and engaging with an audience. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm a little shook up about today, and it's throwing my brain off. Okay. The second reason I started this show is because I want to get more comfortable with public speaking and engaging with an audience. And 2020 afforded me the opportunity to be able to do that via a web show. And I'm thankful for you guys being here. The third reason why I started this show is because I want to practice reading aloud in front of an audience. The things that I want to do with my career are going to involve me reading cue cards, reading scripts, reading teleprompters, reading speeches, and things of the like. And I need to be able to read them correctly. So I'm here practicing that because Reading what Miss Taylor Said is grounds for practice. And I'm thankful for you guys being here. We are currently reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. We are currently reading The Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. And where we left off, we're in the chapter Breaking Down and Awakening. So we talked about waking up to anger, waking up to better self-care, waking up to idealizing waking up to relationship breakdowns, and just waking up to the things that are going to help us survive, and understanding like your anger is valuable. Understanding your relationship with other people is valuable. Like you have to make sure that, ooh, sorry y'all. This oil that I have, this spiritual oil that I have has crushed diamonds in it. And for the first time ever, I'm getting like these little shards of diamonds. Like I use it on my skin pretty often, but now it's feeling like little pieces of glass. So I have to be careful. Anyway, we were talking about that yesterday. And if you missed yesterday's episode, you can go back on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube, and you can watch yesterday's episode and all the previous episodes of Reading What Miss Taylor Said. But as of right now, we're going to continue in adult children of emotionally immature parents. Okay. So the next section is called Waking Up from Idealizing Others, which is probably going to be a nice little call out for me because I have a tendency to do that. All right. So we are reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Waking up from idealizing others. One of the hardest fantasies to wake up from is the belief that our parents are wiser and know more than we do. It can be embarrassing and even scary for children to see their parents' weaknesses. And even as adults, people may strongly resist seeing their parents' immaturity for what it is. It can feel better to remain naive about their limitations than to look at them objectively. Subconsciously, perhaps we feel protective of our parents' vulnerability. Patsy story. Our word already, right? Patsy story. My client Patsy was clearly more emotionally mature than either her impulsive husband or her petulant mother who lived with her. However, Patsy recoiled when I observed that she seemed to be the most mature person in her family. Oh, I don't like to think that, she objected. And she said such a thought felt disloyal and that she didn't think of herself as special or superior in any way. Although humility can be a nice quality, it wasn't doing Patsy any good because she was using it to ignore a glaring reality. Idealizing her mother and husband wasn't helping her, nor was denying her own strengths. Once Patsy was able to accept that she had more maturity than her husband or mother, she could be more objective about their behavior. She stopped attributing positive qualities to them that they didn't have and was able to set limits with them. She also stopped wasting energy pretending she was less than she was so she could pretend to be more than so they could pretend to be more than they were. I'm going to say that one more time. She stopped wasting energy pretending she was less than she was so they could pretend to be more than they were. I find myself doing that pretty often. I'm not going to hold y'all. I find myself doing that pretty often and I even did it I've done it in my previous relationships. I've done it, with my parents. I've done it with a lot of people where I know how smart I am. And I actually have a tendency to, I don't dumb myself down, but sorry, y'all. Just been a lot going on and I heard something outside of my apartment and the PTSD is very real. Okay. I find myself trying to make myself smaller or minimizing my emotional intellect in order to make other people feel comfortable because no one wants to be like, because I feel like if I really express with the level of emotional intellect that I have, then I come off like Oscar on The Office. It's very much like, well, actually, and I don't want to be a well, actually person, but people put me in a position where I have to be like, well, actually, because they have a tendency to not be as emotionally mature as I am. I've had a lot of time to really think about the things that really think about a lot. Like I've had time, like my therapist and I had a conversation about that because we were talking about a relationship that I had and that person's growth and how it was like really behind, like emotional growth, and how it was really behind compared to mine. And she was like, well, have you considered that you have been afforded opportunity that a lot of people haven't? Because when I was in a previous relationship, I spent a lot of time in the house because I was being hidden. When I was growing up, I spent a lot of time in the house because my parents were really restrictive. Like when I've spent a lot of time in the house, I actually don't like easily go out, especially because I don't have a car. So, I'm not going nowhere. So I'd be home. So what do I do when I'm home? I'm just spending the time reflecting and thinking about life and thinking about myself. And I'm doing a lot of internal work. So I've been doing that for years. Like all throughout my whole 20s, I've been doing that. And there are a lot of people who have not had the opportunity to stop life. Like a lot of people didn't get the opportunity to stop and sit with themselves until 2020 when we had the quarantine. So my therapist was just like, you are here as far as like emotional maturity, and a lot of people are here because they just haven't had the time to build up emotional maturity like you have. So how can you expect them to be here with you unless you meet somebody that also has the same who's had the same amount of time and has the same emotional maturity that you have? And I also, I mean, and the same thing happened with my parents. I mean, when I think about it, like both of my parents were like all of my parents were parents at a young age. Like my mom became a parent. Hey, cuz my mom became a parent as a teenager. My dad became a parent in his early 20s. My stepdad became a parent in his early 20s, or when he was like 19 or 20. Like all of them became parents at a young age. So when were they ever going to have time to sit, shut up, and just listen to their own thoughts and go internally and do that work? They don't. They weren't sitting in their room for days and days and days because they can't go out. They was out. They was living their life. They was working. They were raising kids. They were doing all this stuff. So a lot of people who have dealt with a lot of busyness in their life, they don't have that time. However, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for the person that has developed that emotional maturity and does have a higher emotional intellect? What does that mean for them? That means that you have to find people that you have to find you can't, like they're saying, we idealize these people that we view as authority figures, whether it's parents, whether it's teachers, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's, even the person that you're in a relationship with. Because sometimes if you're at a certain level in life, like for me, financially, I have been behind for a while. But so whenever I get in a relationship, if somebody is doing better than me financially, it's almost like, oh, they know how to do adult life better than I do. And so then I look to them as an authority figure. And then it's just like, wait, they're not actually wiser than me. They just have accumulated more money than me and have done the adult thing a little bit better, the physical part of being an adult better than me. But we end up idealizing those people because we're just like, well, you possess something that I don't have, so obviously you're doing something better, especially when we are being raised by people that are narcissists, when we're raised by people that are abusers, and we're constantly told that, like, you don't know no better, you just a kid, stay in a child's place, all that stuff. But did you keep me in a child's place when I was a child? Or did you keep me in a child's place when you didn't want to be challenged? Did you involve me in adult stuff that I had no business being in whenever it was convenient for you? And because you knew that I couldn't tell you, I don't want to hear that right now. I don't want to deal with that right now. I don't want to listen to that right now. You knew I couldn't say no to that. I couldn't like consent to being told information that I had no business knowing. But when I have something to say, when I have something to when I want to speak up, when I want to express my feelings, when I want to stand up for myself, when I want to stand up for someone else, then stay in a child's place. Bet. Next section, waking up to your strengths. Come on, waking up to our strengths. That's what we're doing next. It's important for people to consciously appreciate their strengths. It's important for people to consciously appreciate their strengths. Thank you. Thank you. Unfortunately, the children of emotionally immature parents usually don't develop much appreciation for their positive qualities because self-involved parents have little or no ability to reflect their children's strengths. Unfortunately, the children of emotionally immature parents usually don't develop much appreciation for their positive qualities because self-involved parents have little or no ability to reflect their children's strengths. As a result, these children often feel a little embarrassed to think of themselves in terms of their positive qualities. They're accustomed to putting others in the limelight and worry that they'll get a swelled head if they recognize their own strengths. This goes into another thing that I was taught. Don't get a big head. Don't get a big head. Don't be conceited. Being conceited is one of the worst things that you can be. You need to be humble. You need to know humility. Don't talk highly of yourself. That's conceited. Don't talk highly. Don't praise yourself. That's arrogance. Don't praise yourself. Like, I hate to ever defend this man. I hate to ever even bring him up. However, like, I remember when Kanye West first came out, and he was like, he spoke very highly of himself. He was very self-affirming, and that whatever mental thing he got going on that made him like that, it's still, there was something to learn from that, because I remember him saying, I remember there was an interview where he was just like, they were like, why do you call yourself a genius? And he was just like, what am I supposed to say, that I'm dumb? Am I supposed to say, oh, you know what? I just realized them little shards are not the diamonds. They're from the screen protector, the tempered glass that I tore off. Sorry, it's concerning me. I have a fear of like being of like splinters and cut glass and shit like that. Sorry. But Kanye West, he was talking about, like, he called himself a genius. And they were like, well, why are you calling yourself a genius? Why are you saying that about yourself? And he was just like, am I supposed to call myself dumb? Am I supposed to talk badly about myself? I'm gonna call myself a genius, because why would I talk badly about myself? And that self-affirming, that confidence, that instilled confidence, while he may have been really arrogant and annoying and a real head ass about it, it's like, there were not enough of us that were taught that it's okay to think highly of yourself. A lot of us were not taught that it's okay to think highly of yourself. A lot of us were not taught that it's okay to be confident in yourself. A lot of us were not taught, like, we were taught about like self-esteem and stuff when we were in school, and they talked about it a little bit, but it's just like, where did it come from? And like, because it's just like, we're told so many different things to take digs at ourselves. You got Black kids that were being told, don't go out in the sun, you're going to get too dark. Why is that an issue? Why is a Black kid's skin getting darker by the sun, which typically darkens skin, a problem when they're Black? Yeah, like the self-encouragement, we weren't encouraged to do that. It was like, don't be like that, because humility. And a lot of that stuff comes from religious teachings, but also, if you think about a household where parents are emotionally immature, they're ill-equipped to deal with the personalities, like to deal with big personalities for multiple children, because it's emotionally overwhelming for them. What are they going to do? They're going to suppress you. They're going to use different tactics, and it may not be consciously. It may be stuff that they learned growing up, that like ways that they got knocked down. Like, I think about one thing, like, I mean, we think about like how children are not allowed to express their emotions. So like growing up, I would say something like, ooh, something's getting on my nerves. And they'd be like, you a child, you're not old enough to have nerves. And somebody had said it recently on TikTok, I believe, but it's just like, a lot of people don't view children as humans that have real feelings, that have thoughts they're just a developing human. They view them like a pet until they get old enough to speak for themselves. It's like they view them like a pet, or treat them like a pet that they really, really love, up until they get to like teenage years. And then when they hit puberty, then it's just like, now you are a mini adult that challenges me, and I don't like being challenged. So I'm gonna be violent. I'm gonna be, disrespectful to you. I'm gonna do all the things to remind you that you're not grown and that you don't know shit. And then they become an adult, and even into adulthood, it's like, you don't know shit because you not really like, it really was like, you're not really a woman until you have kids. Okay, so now let me go have a kid so I can be respected as a woman. Well, you're not this age, so you're not grown. I have a child, or I have my own apartment. I'm taking care of myself. Like I'm of this age. How am I not grown? Like, it's those things to reaffirm that, like, I am dominant. You are subordinate. Don't get it twisted. You don't know more than me. I've experienced, it'll be like, well, I have life experience. I've experienced this much life because I've been alive longer than you. What? So you're constantly, in childhood, we were constantly torn down for any assertion of our autonomy, of our confidence, of our own minds. We were told that the way that our minds think was not adequate and not worthy of listening to because it was younger than the person that gave us life. We were told our thoughts are not valid because we were too young to understand our thoughts. Well, adult, why don't you explain something to me? Why don't you talk through it with me? Why don't you ask me, okay, well, let's sit down and have a conversation so we can understand why you're thinking like this? No. You too young. You stay in a child's place. You too young to be thinking like, you too young to be talking about all that. They're accustomed to putting children who don't recognize their strengths. And I do this big time. Like, bro, this is why we're here. We're here for my tangents. If y'all wanted to just have an audio book, y'all could go get an audio book. We're here for my tangents. I think about like growing up, and not even growing up. I think about the things that I've been through in the last few years. As y'all know, as I've talked about many, many times, and I'll continue to talk about many, many times later, I left an abusive relationship, and I left an abusive relationship. I was living with my abuser, and I left them. And I had to save my money. I had to figure everything out and all of that. And I had to survive the relationship until I was in a position where I could leave. So I didn't think about the process. I just thought about getting myself out, right? And I had to have one of my friends tell me, one of the best compliments I've ever gotten was from my friend when I would talk about the stuff that I went through and the ways that I handled situations when I was in the relationship. One of my friends told me, she was just like, you're really, like, you had to be really smart in order to think about that way, or think like you're really smart, Taylor, for the way that you handled that relationship and how you got out of it. And I didn't even feel comfortable receiving that compliment, because I just felt like, well, I don't know how to receive that compliment. How many of us are in a position where we know how to receive compliments about our personality, about our strengths, about our maturity, about our intelligence, about any of that? Like, how many of us don't even know how to receive a compliment about that, because it's like no one has ever affirmed that outside of a school or a job. No one affirms, having excellent interpersonal skills. No one affirms emotional maturity or emotional intellect. No one affirms the ability to, put others first or anything like that. No one affirms that. No one compliments that, because it's not seen as valuable in our society, because it's not money generating. It doesn't produce results, like physical results. And so it doesn't get complimented. It doesn't get acknowledged. It doesn't get praise. I got some comments I'm going to read. Let's see. My friend who's a mom, she says, I've done that. I've had to stop myself from limiting my children's expression of self. They human like me. Yep. Sorante said, all that was just a way to keep children down, especially when they make more sense than the adult. And my toxic family members hated that. Like, yeah, like, because then where's my power? If children have minds of their own and they can think for themselves and they can express themselves and they can tell me, I don't like this, I don't like that, then where's my power? What was the point of having kids if I couldn't have power over them babies? Because a lot of times the reason why our parents had kids, some of our parents, not everybody's parent, but a lot of the reason why our parents had kids or continue to have kids after their first slip up or whatever is because they want to dominate people. They want to do what was done to them. They want to abuse someone after they had to deal with abuse. And how I know this is because you got people that like make these jokes that's just like, oh, I can't wait to have kids so I could tell them we got food at the house. I don't got no McDonald's. Like, do you have McDonald's money? Or like, I can't wait to have kids so I could do this thing that was done to me in my childhood. And it's manipulative, neglectful, abusive. Like, people are really excited to have children so they can abuse them. Because of the fact that it's just like, I didn't have a voice. I didn't have power. I didn't have autonomy when I was a child. So now I'm an adult and I still feel the tinge of like, and I still feel the tinge of, you know, I still have my inner voice. If we haven't done any healing, if we haven't gone to therapy, if we haven't done our shadow work, if we haven't done any of the inner child work, if we haven't done any of that, my inner voice is still my mama telling me I ain't shit. Not me personally. My mom didn't tell me that, but it's just like a lot of people, it's like the voice in their head is whatever terrible thing that they heard growing up. And so then they are like, oh, I'm excited to be able to get into this position so that I can do that to someone else, instead of looking and being like, wow, I need some healing. I need to evaluate why I'm so excited to be mean to a child that comes from my body. I need to evaluate why I'm so excited to be mean to a child instead of going to therapy and dealing with what I grew up with. Until you were healed or start healing, you can't receive a compliment in your trauma areas. Exactly. Like in places where we feel trauma, those pain points, it's like, it's so hard to receive a compliment if you don't have that healing. I'm going to continue reading. However, it's crucial to know what your assets are and be able to articulate them. It provides self-validation and allows you to feel good about what you bring to the world. This self-recognition builds energy and positivity. While modesty and humility can help you keep things in perspective, they shouldn't prevent you from knowing your best qualities. Talk to yourself in the mirror and tell yourself what you like about you every day. Say one thing, even if it's just one thing, and just like look in the mirror and just be like, I like the way you talk to people. I like how nice you are to people, to strangers. I like this about you. I like this about, like, look in the mirror at yourself and spend time in the mirror. And just every now and again, when you passing by the mirror and you in the bathroom, just look at yourself and be like, and not something physical. Like, of course, let's love ourselves physically. Let's love the body that we have, but you don't have to, every time you look in the mirror, don't have to be about your outer beauty. Talk about stuff that's inside that's beautiful. You know what I like about myself? I like how kind I am. I like how understanding I am. I like how patient I am. I like how I'm able to make people feel comfortable opening up and talking about, I like the fact that I make people feel emotionally safe. And I love that about myself. Find something about yourself that you love and tell yourself that you love that about yourself. That's not physical. I mean, of course you could do the physical too, but find a thing that's not physical about yourself that you love. The next section is called Waking Up to a New Set of Values. Family therapist and social worker Michael White developed a form of psychotherapy known as narrative therapy. His approach was founded on the idea that it's crucial for people to become conscious of the meaning and intentions in the storylines they've been living by. In the process of uncovering a client's life story, the therapist works to expose the often self-neglectful values that they have been living by, and then invites them to update their guiding principles, choosing new values more consciously. Aaron's story. Aaron was a strong, silent type who had always lived by a code that involved not pushing for recognition. Growing up, he loved theater and acting, but he never spoke up to request a role or ask a director for a bigger part. He thought he would seem spoiled and demanding if he promoted himself, and that lobbying for himself was a sign of weakness. However, as an adult, Aaron began to see that his code of not speaking up for himself often resulted in other people being put ahead of him. In addition, others often took advantage of his talents without reciprocating. He saw that his healing fantasy, in which he hoped authority figures would spontaneously recognize his potential, wasn't coming to fruition. So he decided to develop a new value of going after what he wanted. He started actively seeking opportunities and laying claim to them. Considering a job change, he said, "In the past, I would have been reluctant to do this for myself, but now I'm not." He finally saw himself as worthy of standing up for and investing in. Honestly, y'all, that is what I'm working on now. Like, I've stood up for myself in certain places, in places like work or like school. I've stood up for myself in spaces, but now that I'm in this space where I want to be in the entertainment industry, I'm going to be in the entertainment industry. I'm going to be in the entertainment industry. I am in the entertainment industry. I just haven't got to those higher levels yet. Like, because of the fact that this is what I'm going into, I have to be more comfortable with self-promoting. I have to be more comfortable with walking into the room and being like Beyonce was when she did 4, where she just walked in, put her bag down and said, "Hi, my name is Beyonce and I'm the president." "Hi, my name is Taylor and I am this. This is what I offer. This is what I do. And this is what I am." And I have to be more conscious and comfortable and confident in doing that. I'm working on it. I'm working on standing up for myself, which is why, with as much discomfort as it caused me, I called the police today for that situation that happened and told them about another situation that happened. Like, I even though it didn't do anything at all, I still did that to teach myself that I could stand up for myself, and I had to get pushed by somebody else to do it. But it's like, standing up for myself is so important because I don't do it. And a lot of us don't do it, especially if we played the role in our family where we tried to make ourselves as small as possible to avoid, harm. And that's what I did. There's different trauma responses. There's fight, fawn, and fight, flight, fawn, and there's another one, and I can't think of it. But like, I don't fight back. I'm not a fighter. I try to run away, but a lot of times, because of my situation, because I don't have a vehicle and stuff, it's hard for me to just run. So flight is not as easy for me to do. And fawn is the one where you try to be nice to the threat and try to like befriend the threat and try to soothe the threat so that, you can convince them that, "Oh, look, hey, I'm nice. You don't have to hurt me. Like, you don't have to hurt me. I'm nice. You don't have to do that." Like, that is my go-to. That is my trauma response, is trying to befriend the threat or soothe the threat or make the threat feel better about, not hurting me, And because of that, I have a hard time standing up for myself, because I always feel like, especially because I'm physically small, like I'm physically tiny, and a lot of people are bigger than me, so they can overpower me physically. Like, my response is be nice to the threat, and maybe the threat will go away, But I'm in a position now, I'm at an age now, I'm at a certain level of emotional maturity now, and I'm gaining more autonomy over myself. So I'm learning how to stand up for myself better. Anyway, let's continue because we're about to finish this chapter. The next section is called Waking Up by Getting Free of Childhood Issues. Working through childhood emotional injuries is the most effective way of waking up from repeating the past. When I say working through, I mean the mental and emotional process of coming to grips with painful realities. Think of it as a process of breaking down something that's initially too big to swallow. You chew on it until it can become a digestible part of your history. I like that. You chew on it until it can become a digestible part of your history. I like that a lot. Research suggests that what has happened to people matters less than whether they've processed what happened to them. In a study of the characteristics of parents who raise securely attached children, researchers found that parents who created a secure attachment for their children were often characterized by a willingness to recall and talk about their own childhoods. Even though some of these parents had lived through very difficult childhood experiences, their relationships with their own children were secure since they had spent time thinking about and integrating their childhood experiences and were at ease with both the negative and positive aspects of their past. It's easy to imagine why children with such parents showed secure attachment. These parents were not avoiding reality because they had addressed their own past. They were fully available to connect with their children and form a secure attachment. So, if given the opportunity, go ahead and go through your history. If given the opportunity before you bring children in the world, and even if you have children now, it's never too late to start going through your history. But just go through the filing cabinet and look at some of them old events and really analyze what happened. And sometimes you're not even going to remember some of the stuff or recognize that some of the stuff was harmful to you until you start with the stuff that for a fact hurt you. Because I'm still learning about things that it was just like, oh, wait a minute, that choice that was made was actually harmful to me. And I didn't even realize it until I was an adult because I hadn't met anybody else that had had that experience. I had only met other people that were in a similar situation as me, because a lot of times people that are in community with each other raise their children in similar ways. So the only people that I met were other people that were raised in similar ways that I was raised with. And just learn and meeting new people, going to therapy, talking about it, journaling about it, sitting in front of a webcam on your laptop and just talking. If journaling, if physically writing something is difficult for you, doing something so you could start processing what happened to you and what your experience was during childhood, so you can have a better understanding. Because then when that situation comes up, you can be like, oh, I remember when this happened to me as a child, and I don't want my child to experience that. So let me do something different. Let me give them an opportunity to express themselves. Let me give them an opportunity to be mad, to be sad, to be happy. Let me, if their excitement is annoying me, let me think about the time that I was really excited about something and I came in my parents' room and I was like, oh my God, da, 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 da. And it was just like, oh, hush up all that noise. I don't feel like hearing that, and how that killed your spirit. Think about that moment and be like, okay, what can I do differently? What can I communicate differently? I have a friend that communicates with her children when they're really high energy and she's low energy. She communicates with them and is just like, hey, sweetie, I love you being excited. Love that for you. However, mommy is not in a good space right now to be excited. Mommy is not in a loving space right now, or mommy's not feeling good right now. So I want to be excited with you. And I really would like that, but we're just give me a moment and then I'll be right out there with you. And communicating with your child so they know, okay, mommy's not just rejecting me because I'm excited, because that's what happens. If you handle a situation like this, your kid comes in the room excited. Mama's not in the mood. She had a long day. She got a headache. She just wants nothing but to lay down and have silence. Kid comes in the room and they're like, mommy, look what I found. I found this. Look, I found this outside. Isn't it cool? And she's just like, yo, get out of my room. I don't want to hear all that. Get out of my room. Bye. Kid hears that. Now what do they think? Especially if they're at a young age. They're going to think, mommy doesn't want to hear about my excitement. When I find something cool, I can't go to my mom and show her anymore. That's exactly what happens. Now, kid comes in the room excited. Mommy, I found this thing outside. Oh my God, mom. Like, hey, sweetie. Hey, baby. Hey, mommy doesn't feel good right now. I'm so excited for you, but I don't feel good right now. So just give me some time. Let me lay down for a little bit, and then you can show that to me when I get up. Okay, is that okay? Okay. All right. And depending on and if you have a particularly nurturing or doting child, you might even get somebody that would be like, oh, mom, okay, gives you a hug, kisses you on your forehead because you kissed them on their boo-boo when it was hurting. Maybe even I saw this one video on TikTok where a woman was crying and she explained to her kid why she was crying, and her kid brought her a snack and some water because it's just that's what my mom does whenever I'm crying and I'm upset. Because you're being an example of you're being an example for how they're going to treat people. So why not treat them the way that you want to be treated as a person? You know? Let's go ahead and get into this summary. Summary. The true self will find ways to express itself, even in the face of efforts to play a role or live out a healing fantasy. When people have ignored their true self for too long, they may develop psychological symptoms. Waking up to the needs of the true self can initially feel like breaking down. Panic, anger, and depression are just a few symptoms that may signal an emotional awakening to better self-care and healthier values. When people process their childhood issues and wake up to their strengths, they gain the confidence to start living from their true self. In the next chapter, we'll explore how you can use this new objectivity and self-awareness to interact with emotionally immature family members in a new way. Don't be afraid of the anxiety and depression that you're experiencing. Because like they said, that's a sign that your emotional self is waking up to and wants change. That just hit me right in my chest. Me saying that I felt that resonated with me in my chest. Your anxiety is a signal that your brain wants change. Because when we go through these traumas, when we experience these traumas, our brains get rewired to adapt to these things. Our brains are rewired from what the initial setup that they had, or not even rewired. Our brains, if our brains are AI that learn, right? Our parents had a blank slate, and everything they taught us, every emotional reaction they had that was not adequately communicated, every behavior, every moment of neglect, every moment of abuse, every moment of overreaction, every moment of emotional deprivation, every moment of that wired our brains to believe that is normal. And then you realize your true self awakens, or your true self is just no, I don't like that. That is not normal. That is not okay. I do not like how that feels. I do not like what's happening. And then you get depression, then you get anxiety, then you develop these things. And I'm not a scientist, so I'm not saying that definitively that's how this happens, but your depression and your anxiety are signals that your mind wants change and your mind wants a reset. So we have to go through this process of going over our childhood traumas, of going over the things that we've accepted, going over the things that we've experienced, going over the things that have affected us and taught us how to respond to danger. Because that's a lot of what this is. It's we have to relearn our responses to danger and threats. so that we can create our own safety, so that our minds can be like, I feel safe. Okay. So we will pick up tomorrow. We're going to pick up in chapter 8, how to avoid getting hooked by an emotionally immature parent. We are reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, and we will be back here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all for watching today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for every time you show up. If you missed the previous episodes, please go to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Well, you're not going to be able to see previous episodes on TikTok, but Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube have previous episodes. And you just look up MissTaylorSaid, MissTaylorSaid. Follow me on all of those. Also, subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, all the works. Follow anywhere where there's a social media, there's probably a MissTaylorSaid. So go ahead and follow me there, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Bye. See ya.